Guys, how are we doing? How are we feeling? I like to ask people, how's your heart? I don't know about you, but I've just been feeling absolutely deranged for the last 2 weeks. Just getting, I don't know if you've seen that picture of a little puffer fish getting hit by the nose of a dolphin. In ways, I feel like both. Are y'all rocking with me on that? Are we all feeling a little cuckoo bee? A little cuckoo bananas? I will say, with the air getting a little chillier, feeling the crisp breeze. Now, granted, it's 90 degrees today, but I do feel like with the shift to fall, a Los Angeles fall is really where it's at. I can't be doing these summers anymore. They're just oppressive. I mean, the tit sweat, the taint sweat, the mustache sweat. It's like I've been getting my chin lasered, but between the sweat and the makeup and the hair growing back, you either have hair or pimples, and the summer it's not conducive for Emmers. So I do feel like with the shift to fall, I'm hoping there's going to be just a little more serotonin floating around in the air. For me and for you. In any case, today I got to sit down with a very special person in my life. Her name is Rena Haley, and she is my acupuncturist. Now, I want to say I feel like I don't like to be too opinionated on things, at least on this podcast. Now, is that because I have some deep-seated people-pleasing issues? Yeah. Do I want to be favorable to any side of the trapezoid? What? Yeah. So I will say in this episode, I've got my opinions. And I will say this, Western medicine has been such a gift in my life, has honestly saved my life. But at the same time, Western medicine has failed me tremendously. And I am sure there are some of you listening to this who have similar sentiments of just feeling left in the dark, feeling gaslit, feeling like you are floating on a rock in the farthest galaxy. So to find Rena, who has time and time again been able to just help me on my healing journey, it's such a gift. So if there's anything to take away from this episode, it's, hey, mommy's got opinions! Ooh, ooh, ooh! Go grab your weighted blanket and welcome to Open Wide. Oh my God, Miss Rena Haley.
Hello.
How are we doing?
So good.
I am not used to seeing you in human clothes.
I'm a regular girl.
It's kind of shocking. It makes me feel like when you're a kid and you see a teacher in the real world and you're like, this doesn't sit right. Yeah. You live at the school.
Yeah. Now you get to see the real me.
I'm over the moon because I have you on here as an acupuncturist. But not only are you an acupuncturist, you're my acupuncturist.
This is true.
So you've seen the layers. We've laughed. We've cried. Mm-hmm. I've cried. You've stayed. We've hugged. You've listened to me talk about my hemorrhoids, my mind hemorrhoids, all of the hemorrhoids. And I've never really gotten to ask you the nitty-gritty. Now, do I not shut the fuck up in our sessions? Yeah. But not like the real getting to know what you do, who you are, the whole shenanigans. Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay.
Bring it.
I want to know, first of all, I feel like there's so many misconceptions about acupuncture as a whole, especially in this, quote, Western world. Mm-hmm. Can you hit me with a little elevator pitch of what acupuncture is?
Acupuncture is about bringing balance into the body. So it's about either removing obstacles or things that are getting in the way, or repairing and rebuilding.
Okay.
And that's kind of at its simplest form. And
that was so beautiful.
Thank you. And Yeah, because the body wants to reach a state of homeostasis. It's always working on finding balance, and it's always going to choose the best route. And if route A isn't available, then it's going to go route B or C.
Sure.
Right? And sometimes those routes can lead to pathology, but it's still trying to maintain balance based on its circumstances.
I think that's a big lesson I had to learn in my healing journey, is that the body always has your best interest. Mm-hmm. So while there's this idea that autoimmunity is like your body attacking itself, that's actually quite an antagonistic view of your body really just trying to be like, hey, I've really been trying to tell you that what's happening isn't quite working. Let's work together to get things back on track.
It's just making a mistake
with
autoimmunity. It sees something and thinks it's something else because it appears so closely to something that it knows is bad.
Totally.
Yeah.
I also have such a problem with, am I about to sound QAnon? Maybe. The idea that, okay, I had a hypnotherapist on, and she was talking about the power of suggestion in your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
If a doctor tells you, you're going to have this for the rest of your life, this is just how it's going to be, your mind is going to settle into that as a truth. But maybe there's an alternative truth. Maybe there is a world where you do overcome it. I know that's a slippery slope because I think everyone is so different, and I don't know, everyone's healing journey is so specific, but I was told I was going to have uveitis probably for the rest of my life, and it's about just managing my eyes.
Right.
By the way things are going now, that's not true. Right. And I feel like you are in a position to help provide alternative solutions.
Right.
Instead of just like, you're going to have this forever.
Yeah.
Is that something that you have to balance with your patients, of like managing expectations and like, I don't know, like how do you take a diagnosis, tell them that you're on the same healing journey together without really knowing what the outcome is going to be? Right.
So first, everybody is going to come to me. Like, you could have 3 different people who have the same condition, and what they're looking for from me could be different. Right? So some people are like, I want this gone. You know, someone else might be like, you know, I'm just going to manage this. So you have to get on the same page. Same page as the patient.
Sure.
Like, what are their goals and how can I help them?
Sure.
Right. So is there managing expectations? Yeah, because some people have some unrealistic goals. But, you know, in regards to like suggesting that someone may have something for the rest of their lives or not, and that would determine whether they do or not, I'm not sure that that is 100% true. Right. Because like, we have genetics, and then we have the expression of those genetics. And usually the expression has to do with epigenetics, right? So
what's epigenetics?
So you have your genes that you're born with, and epigenetics is like the things that you experience in life or you come into contact to or like within your life. Traumas or foods or toxins, right? Like all of these things can influence the expression of genes. And so that's epigenetics.
Okay.
Right? So if you have a gene where you are prone to a certain condition, right? And that's where like health history is so important, because, you know, the family history is like number one, right? Like in your intake. But if you can like reel someone back in and say, listen, here is the condition that you have, but you can actually change the way your genes express themselves, and this is how you can do it. Some people will be like, let's do it. Some people are like, oh, I'd rather just take the meds. You know, like that's where the managing of the expectations are. Okay. But, you know, you can still help people with the expression of these conditions. Totally. So does that mean, will you have it forever?
It's like you technically have herpes forever, but you may not be having a flare.
That's right. There's a lot of things that we all have. Every virus we have ever had in our entire lives is like, it's with us.
Sure. Hashtag HPV.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, this is a dumb question. Can you change, you said something that made me think, can you change your genetic patterns? Like, I was given a certain genetic, what, I don't even know the noun. Can I through acupuncture, diet changes, somatic work, change my gene patterns to then pass down something else to my children?
So your genes are your genes. It's just how the genes are expressed. It's like a light switch.
Oh.
So, you know, just because the lights are there doesn't mean they're always on.
Huh.
And then sometimes there's something that happens that can flip the switch.
And what is that thing? Stress?
Could be like anything.
Okay.
So many things. I mean, it could be like catching a flu, like a really bad viral infection.
Huh.
It could be exposure to toxins or like molds, or,
Right.
you know, it could be something in the food that you're eating. It, you know, it could be like the plastic. I don't know. It's like the list of things is
Endless. Okay.
endless.
Okay. So then I know some of your past jobs when you were a
Yes.
teenager, 20s. When you look like you're 22, so let me just get that out of the
Stop.
way. What led you, spoiler alert, from bottle service
Yeah.
to going into acupuncture, Chinese
Yeah.
medicine? Like, what was that path?
So when I was younger, I was a gymnast,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of did it 'cause my dad was a coach. And so I was,
Wait, I didn't know that.
yeah. And so I grew up in the gym, and I liked doing it, and no one was ever like, you have to do this. But I think I didn't realize I had a choice until I was a teenager, and I was like, nah, I'm done doing this
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
But in the meantime, my mother was really into like making sure my body was taken care of, and so she introduced me to a lot of alternative medicines. And I was so curious about them, and I loved them. And but I'm such a Capricorn, and I'm so practical, and I just didn't really think I could make a good living at, I don't know, being je ne sais quoi, some kind
Sure.
of like alternative
Sure.
medical practitioner. In the meantime, I get an internship with my neighbor working for a network, and he's moving to LA to launch the network domestically.
Okay.
And so he offered me a job, and I'm like 21, and I was in college, and my mom's like, you don't know what you want to do. You should just go, and when you figure out what you want to do, you can go back to school. And I'm like,
Okay, we
That's
love your mom.
not normal, but okay.
Yeah.
Because I think she
Mom's
knew
tits out.
that I would be very stuck in Denver, and she wanted me to get out. She's like
Fly
a
those wings.
traveler. and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
she wants experiences, and so she wanted me to have the same thing.
Okay.
So, so I moved to LA with this job. I land the day before I turned 22, and I'm like a PA in the on-air promotions department of this network. And in the meantime, like, you know, you're not making good money. And so I had a friend who worked in the nightclub, and I was like, oh, if anything ever opens up, let me know. 6 months later, it did. Next thing you know, like, I'm working 50 plus hours a week for the network, and then another additional 20
Oof.
in the nightclub. So 4 nights a week I'm in this nightclub.
Jesus.
And it's really hard to do a good job when like you don't give a shit. And so when I was still working in TV, I'm like, oh God, it's really hard to do I want to do a good job, but I wish I cared.
Yeah.
And at some point I just decided this wasn't for me.
Huh.
But I had this job doing bottle service in the nightclub.
And it's good
And it was
money.
I was making way more money in the nightclub,
Yeah.
working 20 hours a week than I was working.
Yep.
At this point, I was like at I had like left the network that I had originally been with and worked at some post-production houses, worked for another network. Yeah, so I decided to go back to school.
Damn.
And I had to finish my undergrad. And while I was in that program is when I met my colleagues.
Okay.
And as I was finishing my undergrad, I knew I needed to continue. I just needed to figure out
What that was.
And I talked to them.
Okay.
And they were like, acupuncture. And I was like, oh my God, 4 more years of school. And I was 30 by this point, you know, and you're kind of like, okay, you can do, okay. And I remember asking them, at this point I had like cultivated a relationship with them. And I was like, well, can I come work here?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I can't believe they said yeah. Because they've had many people who've wanted to come in and just shadow them or work there. And
Is this the place you're at now?
This is at Lotus Center.
No
yeah.
way.
Yeah, so I always felt kind of a little bit like the golden child. I feel very lucky.
Yeah.
And like
I
I
mean, you
literally
proved yourself. It wasn't just like,
I don't know if it was proving myself. I think at that point they knew me
Sure.
and they understood who I was.
right.
But, you know,
I
they
just
knew
say
I was
that
a hard
since you
worker.
weren't, yeah, like they weren't like, okay, let's bring this girl. I mean, you're the real deal. Like you are talented.
I have become
Sure.
a good,
Sure.
yeah, but I've had really good mentoring. I was really fortunate because while I was in school, I was in that clinic working with the acupuncturist. One in particular took me under his wing.
Okay. Okay. And then what was like the most shocking thing that you learned during those 4 years?
Oh, I'm trying to think if there was anything really shocking.
Like, was there anything where you like, I don't know, acupuncture just constantly makes my mind go cuckoo bananas just with all of the things that you are able to do and like know about the body.
It's a weird medicine.
It's bizarre.
It's super bizarre. It is, you have to learn how to think differently. So when you are in school to become an acupuncturist, you also do all the Western med.
Okay.
And the Western medicine, you know, we're raised with this medicine, so we kind of have an idea of like a little bit how it works. But the way acupuncture and Chinese medicine work is just so different. And it works on, even though you have, you know, a diagnosis, it's not as compartmentalized. You know, it's about patterns and the way of thinking. It's a whole different language.
Totally.
Yeah, and you have to think about the
Literally,
body different.
too. The herbs are like a
literally
batshit name.
it's a language. It's very like poetic in a way because
Okay.
it's translated from Chinese, which is a very
Well, it's like water, metal, wood, fire.
It's beautiful language. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember okay, so I first got acupuncture in 2017. I had severe panic disorder out of nowhere. And I was trying everything. I was super curious, and I remember I got acupuncture for the first time, made my mom come with. Okay, I was 27. No, 22, Jesus. And it was the first time that I had actually felt relief in months. And I was like, I don't know what the hell just happened. I remember he looked at my tongue and he's like, you're an overthinker, huh? Just because there was like a long crack in the middle.
From the root to the tip.
Yes. And he would do these crazy things where he's like, I can feel some like trapped anger. I'm going to just put a certain needle in. And then he just like walked away really quickly. Next thing you know, burst out into tears.
Yeah.
It's the real deal. And someone could argue that there's like some placebo effect. I don't know. But this has been around for so long that like, can you explain the pulses? What is the pulse? Like you put your finger on my wrist and you're feeling like 3 layers of pulse. What is that?
So there's 3 pulses on each wrist.
Okay.
They each represent a yin and a yang organ, and you're feeling for you're feeling the artery, right? So the 3 things that you feel, the depths are the depths of the artery. So if you think about like putting your finger on top of a tube, you're like kind of at the top of the tube, the middle of the tube, and then at the base of the tube.
Okay.
Okay. And what you're feeling for is like how fast or slow the pulse is. Is the vessel, like, is it dilated or is it vasoconstricted? Because when it's like tight or when it's vasoconstricted, it feels tight or tense, or they call it like a wiry pulse.
Okay.
Right? It can be like slippery where it feels like you can't even feel
A slippery
the
pulse.
vessel. It's like they describe it as a pearl running under your fingers. Sometimes it's choppy where it feels like the blood isn't moving smoothly.
And did that take just practice over time of learning how to feel that? Because if I were to do that, I'd be like,
It's
a
very
heartbeat.
subtle and
Okay.
it's weird, but I mean, I feel differences all the time. I
Okay.
mean, like you follow the patterns that you're taught.
Yeah.
And you feel things change. I mean, I feel pulses go from super vasoconstricted to vasodilated.
Even within the same session, right?
No, like
if you were to do it.
immediately. Yeah, you want to feel the changes happen. You feel, yeah.
That's so
It's
crazy.
yeah, it's weird. It is crazy.
So then,
But going back to what you said, like people, like the placebo effect.
sure.
You can't deny. Listen, let me just caveat what I'm about to say. Acupuncture is way more than a pain medicine.
Totally.
It's so more capable than just treating pain. But you can't deny someone coming in with pain, receiving a treatment, and their pain being better.
Sure.
Like, how is that? Or literally muscles softening, right? Because I do a Japanese style of acupuncture where I'm poking around a lot. I palpate.
Yeah.
And you literally can feel the tightness in someone's stomach.
Right.
Like just soften.
No, it's wild. I mean, I will die on that hill big time. I also think people forget or don't realize that acupuncture isn't just for musculature issues.
Right.
Like your specialty is fertility, right?
Correct.
Which we're going to get into that. We're going to dive deep. But what is happening with the needles in the body? Like what is it bringing energy to the points? Like what is it?
I don't know if anybody really truly knows what's happening. They know that there are responses that the body has to the needles.
But you're putting it in certain points of the body that are related to certain organs, right?
Yeah.
So is it that like by putting attention to that organ?
Well,
that, like,
the question is like, are you treating the organ or are you treating the channel, right? Because it could be an organ issue or it could be just that there's something with the channel.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy.
It's really weird.
It's so
amazing
wild.
though.
Because it honestly can fix is a tricky word, but it can aid so many things.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
a shitty case with BV that we all know wasn't going away from a man who put his penis inside of me with zero foreplay. Acupuncture fully helped, among other things. But like, it's, whether it's been my uveitis, Graves' disease, digestive issues, mental health, like, but I think that's also a testament to the fact that Eastern medicine looks at the body as a closed system. Like, if you are having a thyroid issue, it's not surprising that you're also having anxiety.
Right.
Like, it's all related.
If it's a hyper, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So then do you always get asked, like, when I first went in and the guy was like, oh, you have a liver kidney yin deficiency. I'm like, my liver's fine. Like, it actually has nothing to do with the
organ.
Right.
Well, there are things associated with the liver. Every organ has
like an emotion, right?
Well, there's emotions related to it. There's tissues related to each of the organs, right? Whether it's like a yin, yang, blood, qi, you're looking at all of these things. And so for you had excess, which Graves is an excess.
Right.
Right. It's a hyperthyroid. And when something is hyper, you tend to burn your candle at both ends in a way. So you end up kind of deficient. It's like, spending more money than you're making.
You don't say. You don't say. Yeah, but then it's also, like, I think in the Western healing, actually, to me, this is Western medicine trying to take an Eastern medicine approach. There's such an emphasis on, like, cleansing, juice cleanse, enemas. And it's like, I feel like in Eastern medicine, that may be a part of it, but you also have to, like, nourish the body as well. Like, if you're depleting and depleting and depleting.
Yeah. You would, like, for example, you would never have someone do a liver detox if they were deficient, because when you detox, you're basically pulling toxins out of the body that the body hasn't been able to deal with, and it's like sweeping it under the rug or like shoving it in the closet until it can deal with.
Right.
So when you release all of these toxins out of the body that the body has to eliminate, if you're already deficient, you're asking it to do more than it's really, it's barely holding on, maintaining, let alone repairing. Sure. Right?
Sure. So sometimes you got to give it a little.
So you
little
sometimes,
boost.
like with people who want to do liver detoxes, you have to tone them up for it before they actually do the detox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, acupuncture, I guess, is also more than just the needles, right? Like, you're also an herbalist.
Well, Chinese medicine encompasses acupuncture and the herbs.
Right. Like, I think to go into acupuncture being like, I'm just going to do 10 sessions, keep my lifestyle the same, and everything will be great. Like, there are sacrifices you have to make, or just changes and all of this internal work. But if you really commit, it's tea. Yeah.
And it's, usually when people come in, it's very rare that people come in and they're just doing acupuncture and you're not making other recommendations.
Sure.
Listen, if they like pulled their back out, I don't know, usually it's like something like tying their shoelace,
Yep.
something
Sneezing.
silly.
Yep.
They come in, they do acupuncture, fine, acupuncture, right?
Okay.
But when someone's coming in and they have an autoimmune condition, or if it's a fertility patient, for example, or they have like gastrointestinal issues, you have to look at the lifestyle.
Right.
So it's not just acupuncture. You're incorporating, nutrition is almost always a part.
Mm-hmm. You're like, are you still eating gluten-free alternatives? I was like, sorry. So then, can you, like, do you have to use needles? Could I go home and know the points that you did and just, like, pinch that area really hard?
You could technically do acupressure on yourself, yeah.
And
that's what, when we send you home with the little acupuncture to go tags.
Right.
Yeah, you're self-administering
Okay.
acupressure.
Okay.
That's really to keep the ball going from what we've done together in the session.
Well, so then how frequently does someone have to go to, like, start seeing results?
Well, hopefully it depends. Okay. It depends on what they're coming in for.
Okay.
If it's some sort of acute, like, tight muscle from, like, throwing their back out, you might actually do 2 or 3 sessions in a week, and in, 3 to 5 sessions, you're probably good.
Okay.
If it's something chronic, you're looking at, like, probably 12 sessions. And sometimes, like, people, once they get good, the acupuncture has worked so well for them that they just continue coming in for oil changes.
Maintenance?
Yeah, maintenance.
Yeah. I think that was my biggest issue with you, is I was like, I'm fine, and then would go long times without seeing you. But just with anything, like, you gotta
maintain.
Yeah.
And that's, like, there's different types of maintaining. So there's, like, the day-to-day maintaining with, are you getting enough sleep, and what are you eating, and are you exercising? It's, like, really basic stuff.
Yeah.
And then, depending on what's going on with the person, sometimes they need just a little extra help along the way.
Yeah.
Initially people will come in weekly, or if they could come in twice a week. Sometimes asking someone to come in twice a week it's a bit much for them to ask. So you're always working with people, with their schedules, with their budgets, right?
Yeah,
ideally, like, it would be more often than not.
Well, because in Asia, LOL, sometimes they go, like, multiple times a week.
Daily.
But it's also covered by, the cost is much lower, right? Like,
I have no idea. I just know that in China, for example, they would be doing it way more frequently than we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But are you still getting the benefit if you go once a week?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then...
Because you do the work at home, too, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I want to start pinching little spots on my body and just see
what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can be like a Chinese practitioner back in the day who's just observing.
Just touching
and seeing
things.
what happens.
Well, there's those, like, acupressure mats, but I understand a lot of acupuncturists don't like the acupressure mats because it's really just touching all of these
It's like a buckshot.
points.
It's just like,
and,
like, fingers crossed that it's
doing something good.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little role play.
Okay.
I'm a new patient.
Okay.
I have I feel so scary saying this out loud. I have fertility issues.
Okay.
For anyone who's never had acupuncture, can you walk through what an appointment would look like?
Yeah.
Just being like, hi, I'm Sarah. So nice to meet you. I'm having such a hard time getting pregnant. What would it look like?
So usually before they even come in, they've filled out an intake form that's pretty thorough.
Okay.
And I have a pretty good idea of kind of like, I have a lot of information about that person.
Right.
Sometimes not, because some patients will share more than others, or some patients have more info than others. And then we sit down and we spend usually about an hour just chatting.
Okay.
Gathering information, seeing what's going on, if there's labs, if there's not, making suggestions for labs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just it's about gathering information. Then what we end up doing next is going and actually doing an exam. So during the exam is when I'm checking pulses, I'm looking at the tongue, and I'm palpating the body.
Okay.
And looking for patterns of where things might be getting in the way.
You are so intuitive, because I feel you, I was about to say fingering my body, but that's not the right one.
We won't call it fingering.
Sure. You're
we
like...
palpate.
Yeah. And as you're touching a certain point on my knee, we're literally feeling my stomach start to relax.
Correct.
It's witchcraft. Okay.
I've been called a witch many times.
Many times.
I fully embrace it.
Good.
I love it.
You're so intuitive. But I think what people are most afraid of are the needles.
Correct.
Now, here's the thing. There's this misconception that it hurts. Mm-hmm. And also, sometimes it hurts.
It hurts, yeah.
Randomly.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want this to scare people, but you'll be tootling around like an ankle for some, and like one needle will just, it's like a quick little spike.
Yeah.
Why is that? What is that?
It's usually a nerve.
Okay.
So when I use really skinny needles. Yep. I practice the Japanese style, so it's very thin needles. There are different gauges of needles. Some practitioners have a no pain, no gain kind of attitude towards acupuncture. I do not. I think it should be a very pleasant experience. I try my best so that you don't feel the needles. Obviously, I can't guarantee that because I don't have x-ray vision.
Sure.
Still working on that superpower. Sure. Until then, I rely on my knowledge of anatomy. And so I try really hard to actually like get the needle in as quickly as possible past that epidermis where you're going to feel more.
Okay. But the needle is, I mean, it's very shallow in the body.
It depends on where in the body it is.
I'm scared.
You probably have never looked, have you?
When it goes to the tum, is it pretty deep?
It depends on people's, how much fat they have on their abdomen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it'll just be this little zing that kind of makes you leave your body for a second, but it goes away. Or you just like reposition the needle and it's totally fine.
Sometimes, yeah, like just a millimeter makes a difference.
To be honest, the worst part of acupuncture is if you are having a real heady day, okay, just like ruminating, so many things on the to-do list, and you are essentially, you can't move on a table for like 45 minutes.
Right.
You know, or like I have to tinkle, you just gotta ride it out. What I do appreciate is Lotus, the place you work, has clocks. So I can at least kind of like close my eyes, pretend like some time has passed. But if there's no clock, no music, tough.
There's also buzzers.
Okay, we need to talk about the buzzers. That is the greatest gift that you guys could do. There was one time where you have infrared lights. I run a little hot. I started to feel like a rotisserie chicken under the lights. Yeah. And I had this little button that I can buzz. I don't know where it goes, who it goes to, but someone comes in the room. Yeah. It's like any anxieties you may have around acupuncture, if you find the right place, you're good. You're set.
Right. And that's the other thing about, I hear people say well, I mean, obviously I get asked a lot, does it work? But I also have people say, oh yeah, I tried that once and it didn't work, so it's not for, or like I never did it again.
You can go once.
Right. So also, or I had a bad experience, so I just never did it again. And I just think, well, most people have had bad experiences, whether it's a doctor or at a restaurant or whatever, and like, so you find another doctor or you find another place to eat, right?
Sure.
Like,
yeah, that one place isn't indicative of the whole, quote, craft.
Correct.
Is there anything that you would want to debunk about acupuncture or herbal medicine or TCM? Come on, TCM.
I think it's like, I think it's more scientific than people think, right? I think that initially, 3,000 years ago, it was a lot of empirical evidence, a lot of observation, but now there's a lot of science behind it, especially the herbs.
Okay.
And there's thousands and thousands of studies.
We got to talk about the herbs real quick.
The herbs. We can talk about
the
dirt.
Wicked woman. When I started acupuncture, the guy I worked with, he had pills. Granted, it was a much smaller inventory. You guys have the Costco of herbs. Like,
we have a room dedicated to herbs. Yeah.
Yes. Now, it's powdered.
It's
so you got to drink that shit.
That's right. Easier than boiling raw herbs, though. Imagine if I gave you like packets of raw herbs that you have. Exactly.
Wouldn't do it.
Which is why we have powders.
There are times like when I had COVID and I was phlegmy, you gave me this black tar, dookie, ookie, pookie. It was truly heinous. But there is something to be said. Like, I've been on these certain herbs with you for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, when I don't have them, I feel like there's something missing. Like, you almost, it's like kombucha. Like, your first sip, you're like, this is ass. And then
You're like, oh,
yeah, I kind of miss it.
I love kombucha.
Yeah. But they are.
They're pretty bad. Well, it depends on what your condition is.
Are any of them ever good?
Yeah.
Like what?
Okay.
Gardenia? Or like
No,
peppermint?
gardenia
Is ass.
It's not very good.
Okay.
There's a formula that's for irregular heartbeats, and it's a tonic, and it's got cinnamon and ginger and jujube and licorice root, and it's delicious. And
You
so
don't want to
I've-
slide that my way?
Well, you don't need it.
Okay.
You also don't need tonics, those kinds of tonics.
Sure. I got the Urzi one.
You have the bitters
Yeah,
to clear
yeah.
some deficient heat. Yeah.
Is there something you
The
see?
Urzi one.
It's insane, absolutely insane. But I eat that shit up. I honestly, if it was easier to snort, I would just do a line and hope it just goes straight to my brain, straight to
Yeah.
my thyroid. Is there anything that you see in like the healing communities or health and wellness social media pages that you wish would just disappear?
The divisiveness. I wish that everybody could learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we all played nicely together, because patient care would be so much better.
What do you mean?
Integrative medicine is so good because everybody has strengths and weaknesses. For example, when I was in school, we had a doctor follow us in clinic, and I remember asking her why she was there, and she said, "We're not good at treating pain, and you guys are. I want to see what you guys do. I'm curious," right?
Oh,
So-
you mean division between East-West?
I'm talking about all of them.
Okay.
I mean, like, how many modalities are there out there of medicine? So many.
Right.
And so if we all understood better what each other did, as well as what our strengths and weaknesses were, and then worked together. So that's
huge.
I wish that people, I wish that we worked better together.
It would be
Like
such
our-
a wonderful world.
Yeah, like
That's
our
hard to
practice
say.
is an integrative practice. We like integrating with people.
Yeah.
I love science. My patients, I get labs. They bring me labs from their doctors, or I'll order labs.
Right.
It's so helpful.
That's what, honestly, I could shed one singular tear thinking about this now. When I went on Lexapro, you were so tits out, puff off. Like, you were, God bless, let's go on a parade. Like, you were so happy for me in that moment that I was getting the help I needed. That's not always the case with naturopathic Chinese medicine. I had an acupuncturist who was very condescending about me making that decision.
Yeah.
But the reality is, at that time,
Yeah.
there was no herb or meditation that was going to get me
Yeah.
out of that
Yeah.
level. Now I'm at a place where we can integrate and do both, and I would love to get to a place where I don't have to take Lexapro.
Yeah.
But never was there a point where I felt shame from you, where I had to feel like, oh God, I like don't want to tell her I'm doing this. Of course, everything has its pros and cons, and you help me understand that.
Yeah.
But you were like, pop off, sis.
Well, I work for you. You are the boss.
Crazy.
And so if there's something, now you hire me, right? So
Yeah.
if there are things that I see that you're doing that I think could be harmful, I'll definitely talk to you about it. But
Right.
if you come to me and say, I did this and I feel better, and I know your history,
Yeah.
then I'm going to support you. And then I think we had the discussion of, like, whether this is long term or just a bridge to get you to the other side.
Sure.
Whatever you need from me, I'll support you and help you in any way I can.
Oh, like what a gift.
I mean, listen, there are times where I have to have conversations with patients about some of the medications that they're on because they have other goals. And that is like with fertility patients.
Sure.
Some medications can affect, like, sperm quality, for example.
Like what?
So anti-anxiety meds.
Really?
Yeah. So you have to have conversations with people and figure out different ways
Sure.
to work with what's going on and to
Okay.
help them reach their goals. But for you, you came to me and said, for the first time, I feel,
Peace.
yeah,
Like existing was fine.
yeah.
Which is
And am I going to condemn you for that? No.
Because then if anything, I feel like the other modalities that we use work even better. Like, to be able to get to a place where I'm not pumping cortisol into my body 24 hours a day, I feel like will allow these other things I'm doing to, help myself just work a little better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also wish doctors were okay saying I don't know. Like, I don't know the answer. Here's maybe someone else, something else. But I went to a GI. Bitch, tell me why. I had like a little bit of like tummy issues, IBS, whatever. He wanted to put me on 3 different antibiotics for 3 months. Huh?
And did he do any testing?
No!
Right.
That's insane. But to just be like, hey, I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
There's so much power in that than trying to just like big dick your... Now I get it. People want answers. People are frustrated. They're like, I'm in pain. I don't know what to do. So hearing some sort of answer, I guess, may be more satisfying than being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But at what cost?
Right. I had a teacher in school that I remember asking him a question.
Yeah.
And his answer was, I don't know. And I respected him so much for that.
Love it.
Because sometimes we don't know.
And that's fine.
And, at that point you kind of go, okay, well, let's either figure it out or refer you out.
Totally. Wait, also, what I found so cute, you were talking about fertility. I didn't realize, or I found out recently, that if someone goes through IVF, you go to the clinic with them?
If they want me to.
Yeah. And do you do acupuncture before and after?
Correct.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I do acupuncture before the embryo's transferred in and right afterwards.
Oh. I always think about this with therapists too. We've worked together for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
You know way too much about me. I know a sprinkling about you.
I'm pretty open.
I love it so much. How do you not get emotionally involved or attached? Because, like, this is people's livelihood and their health and their well-being. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you're my, quote, boss. That's an insane thing to say. You're not my boss. We're working together.
We are working together, but you hire me.
Sure.
Yeah.
But how do you not sob every day? How do you compartmentalize?
It's hard because the thing is I can't be the type of practitioner who is shut down and just mechanical and goes in and does stuff. Like,
right.
I like connecting with people. I like knowing people, and I'm pretty open myself with my patients.
Yeah.
And I have patients where I've had to hold tears back because of things that have happened with them.
Right.
And I'd rather be that way than shut down and be a robot.
Totally. And my therapist said, she's like, listen, if I gotta cry, it's gonna come out.
That's right.
What am I gonna do about it?
That's right. I have patients that have been with me for 15 years.
It's a long time.
And and I care deeply about them.
Of course. I think that's what makes you and the work you do so powerful. Because yes, there's like this, whatever, science, there's like a very mechanical aspect of the work that you do. Mm-hmm. But I think to create a space where someone can come in and be like, my left labia hurts, and you to sit there and be like, yeah, let's work on that. Like, there's already so much healing that can be done in just feeling safe with someone and be able to say, like, here's all the shit that's going on, and then you put it into this very tangible space, or tangible, I don't know what the word is. But it's just, you're the real deal.
I try to listen.
Yep.
And come from a place of curiosity.
Yep.
And figure out why something might be happening.
Yeah. And then be like, the liver chi channel to the thyroid gland. I'm like, okay, girl. Okay, we do trivia with each episode.
Okay, let's do it.
Are you ready?
No, but bring it.
Which animal can sleep for up to 3 years?
Oh, that I have literally no.
I was shocked when I found out.
Tell me.
I
want to learn something. Whoa, I would have never guessed that.
I know. I feel like people would be like a bear or something.
3 years.
3 years.
Whoa.
A long slumber. To be honest, I don't really know what a snail does in the environment. Like, is it a decomposer? Like, what does a snail provide to the environment? We'll discuss that another day.
Well, I mean, there's products made for face
Snail
products
mucin for us.
Yeah.
True. Okay, what does the mathematical phrase PEMDAS stand for? PEMDAS.
I don't even, like, I've never even heard of
What
that.
do you mean? I thought that was the one you were going to get.
No, PEMDAS?
Parentheses, exponent,
No.
multiplication, division,
No.
addition,
Why would I know
subtraction.
that?
Okay, last one. I had this shit
I'm
all
not going to
memorized.
get any of these.
You might get this one. Especially if you were an Even Stevens fan. I don't know if that was...
I don't even...
Okay. What year was the moon landing?
Oh my gosh. It was in the 60s, right?
Yeah? Yes?
I don't know. 64, 67?
69.
69.
Dude, these are hard. Believe
are
you
hard.
me. But
Yeah.
we learn something every day.
Well, I just learned a lot.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to know, is acupuncture something that you see yourself doing when you are 80 and hunched over? Like, is this your calling, your path, like your long-term career?
Oh, this is
it?
This is what I'll be doing until I retire.
Yeah.
But I hope when I'm 80 that I'm retired.
Fuck yeah. Yep. So you want to do it for a long time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I love what I do.
Yeah.
This is like, it's funny, one of my mentors is an astrologer and she teaches and she uses my chart as an example for her students they have to look at my chart and see what it is like I should do for a career. And it's not that they have to figure out that I should be an acupuncturist, but that I am supposed to be a person of service.
I love that.
Yeah. And
Okay.
for sure, I love what I do. You know, I left TV because it is hard to do a good job when you just don't give a shit.
You're also getting paid
So,
pennies.
and now I get to do something that I love. I get to connect with people. It's fun. It's hard,
Sure.
but it's fun and it's
rewarding,
challenging and
yeah.
rewarding, and I learn, and you guys teach me so
She's
much.
locked in.
I love where I work. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
The practice is amazing. It's like my own little utopia.
I love it. Okay, so then if there's anyone out there who is struggling mentally, physically, just with anything with their health, what's something that you would want to tell them?
Figure out what works for you.
Mm.
Just because I'm an acupuncturist doesn't mean I think acupuncture is the answer. There are so many different modalities out there, and they all are there to serve. And just because something works for one person doesn't mean it's going to be right for the other.
Okay.
So just look for the thing that works for you.
And how do they start doing that? Is it just word of mouth? Like,
I think, you know, one of the biggest things that people struggle with when they have, whether it's a physical illness or a mental illness, is actually talking about it and sharing. You know, we live in a society where we're shamed for things like that.
Sure.
And I think if you actually just speak more openly about it, you'd find out that, like, there are people around you who've had the same experiences and that they have people that maybe they could refer you to or help you
Right.
find someone or,
right.
yeah.
I also think, I don't know if this is a controversial thing to say, one of the biggest lessons I have learned in my healing journey, you are so much more healed than you think you are. It's very easy to always put the healing ability on someone else, like, you are going to heal me, or you are going to fix this for me. But the reality is, like, it's all really on ourselves.
Yeah.
You
have to want the change.
Yeah. Crazy. Okay. I end each episode with the same question. I also feel like you've been looking at a camel toe this whole time. I'm so sorry if that's the case.
I haven't even looked down there. I'm looking at your eyes.
God bless. Okay, well, my one eye that's popping out of my head.
It's a beautiful eye.
Thank you so much. What is one thing you wish more people understood about you?
Like me as a person?
You as a person, you as an acupuncturist.
I think, like, as a person, I can be, like, a little rough around the edges and a little curt at times. And that, like, I'm actually, like, a pretty gentle
Yeah.
person.
You're a softie on the inside.
I'm a total softie. I'm like super sensitive. But I can be very curt and just very brutally honest. And I've worked really hard on learning that you can send the same message with a different delivery and be a little bit, like, soften the edges a little.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whenever my sister really starts to come at me hard, again, insane phrasing of that sentence, I say, tone, tone, tone. Like, it's all about the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, being an acupuncturist and being in the rooms with my patients has taught me how to do that.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, you're around people all day.
Because I have to, I have to be gentle with people. Because usually when they come and see me, they're pretty vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, they're opening themselves up.
You can slap me around. I don't give a shit. Push me off the table. I could use it. Rena Haley, you are the light of my life. I know I'm seeing you, honestly, tomorrow for our session. I'm going to link Lotus Center down below, whatever the fuck that means. And please book Rena. I mean, truly, whether you're dealing with fertility issues, muscular issues, mental health, like, she will really be on your team. So I love you so much.
I love you.